think there's a basic natural science to it. Now, I'm not really a sciencey kind of guy, but chemicals change, pathways change in your brain and in your body when you're standing outside. I'm Mark Wood. I've been running private practice for about 12 years, and about 5 years ago I moved it out of the office into the woodland. So the approach I use now and have done for the last 5 years is outdoor therapy based around being in this 100-acre wood, using the normal therapy techniques, lots of flexibility and mindfulness and meditation within the sessions to help people connect. For the first 7 years when I was working from an office, people were intimidated by their own work because they've got nowhere to go. So they were trying to get out this really important things for them, real important issues, and they were scared because they were saying some terrible stuff, traumatic stuff, and it was just hitting the wall behind me and bouncing straight back at them. So there was nowhere for it to go, and you try and contain that as much as you can as a counsellor for them, but it's really difficult when there's no space for it to go. The woods, they kind of offer an openness. So lots of people are screaming out for it, but don't ever contact because they're terrified of that environment and of them wanting something different. And a few of my clients have commented about really difficult topics that we've spoken about and how the trees soak up their trauma. So many times sat in an office there's a huge pressure on both sides for people to say something. But people are so intimidated by that situation and the silence that they feel like they've got to fill it. So being out here gives people a freedom of when they choose and when they don't choose to speak. So when my clients first turn up for their first session, there's an anxiety and intimidation because they're coming to meet some weird bloke in the middle of a wood that they don't really know, do you know what I mean, to talk about stuff that they've never spoken about. So there's a level of anxiety, but every client I've ever had has told me it's not as bad as it is when they've experienced going to an office. Anxiety levels are still there, it doesn't get rid of them. They're coming here to talk about trauma, really bad stuff, but it lowers the levels of fear and anxiety for people being outside. You've got an organisation that is very insular and believes that their way is the only way. They're telling clients, and this is only from experience, I'm not making this up, I've had clients, 30% probably of my clients over the last 5 years have been either attached to mental health teams and their treatment of them has been so bad they've walked away and found me, or they've tried to contact a mental health team and have been told their needs are too high or they can't provide care, and they've had the altogether to look for it themselves. So it does come from first-hand experience, and I've been working with mental health teams in different guises for about 20 years, and it's just declined, and it's scary because the most vulnerable people in our country are being left behind. They're not being given the same respect as other people, and I think we all deserve it. I think being outside is important. I think part of our monkey brain that still exists in our head, tells us that being outside is important. We've spent most of our existence outside, if you look at the whole time span of our existence. So I think we have a natural draw to being outside. So along with that draw is a natural emotional and physical reaction to being outside. You see people who stay indoors and don't go outside, their mental and physical well-being deteriorates if they don't go outside for any reason. So there's that natural attachment that our humans have to being outside that needs to be fed. For me, it's the approach of the physical and the mental at the same time, because one affects the other and vice versa. So the ability to walk and get fresh air whilst opening up about historical issues is hugely powerful. But I think one of the other things is silence. When I'm walking around the wood here with a client, there isn't that urgency for them to say stuff just for the sake of saying it, or for me to. just to fill a silence, because you've got nature around you filling the silence in. You can't do that in an office. If you're outside, your body and your well-being will improve, scientifically proven. So if you add on top of that a skilled counsellor who can make you feel safe and empowered at the same time, the mixture of the two, for me, is just a recipe for success.